Collapsing in wet clay, calligraphy on asphalt, and the bright jewels of machinery, of engine padded in a ditch of white violet and clover. She fell where she stood in the grocery line, as all the padlocks sprung open, all the gates. Lily of the valley. In the lake, bodies shift with the currents. Water skaters traverse their tapestries. On the bank grow plants that no longer have names. Some have tongues to catch the feet of flying things. 2 shoes lie on the bank as well. A child's shoes, a girl's. Can you see her? Dirty dress, dirty soles. Can you see the arms that held her? In a convulsion of tenderness that wasn't tenderness. In a fever that wasn't fever. In this heat, the lily of the valley exudes such sweetness a man can't think. All you want to do is stop up those peeling mouths, those white, white skirts, unutterably clean. Dear Columbine, dear engine. Mere water will force a flower open. Then with a touch, the beautiful intact collapses into color, filament, and powder. It's all my fault, all hands on deck to help collect what's spilled. That could be me beneath a bridge, torn up beside the road, a bloat of skin and fur. Afloat in bathtub, clean, blue-lipped, forgiven, face down in the snow. Why do you imagine these terrible things? Asks my mother or her ghost. Because the paper is crisp and white. Because no slate's unwritten. Because the ant that scaled that flower head has nowhere else to go. So I'm not talking very much between poems because I have this weird cough thing. And I was hoping I could get through a few of them without, and I got through them, which is good, and this one's a little longer, so. Anyway, I'm glad I didn't cough. I'm not sick anymore, but the cough has not gone away. Anyway, happy to be here. This is a hipster poem. I don't see any hipsters. You may have an inner hipster I'm not seeing. If so, I apologize for offending you, if this poem offends you. But I don't think it's going to offend you. It's called 7 Minutes in Heaven. It's all the rage to sport wax mustaches and cure your own sausages in some mildewy basement that formerly would have hosted convulsively awkward parties with Spin the Bottle and 7 minutes in the dark and terrifying closet, aka heaven. But now boasts sorpresadas strung on repurposed vintage drying racks and fat clay pots of kombucha and curdling hops. Personally, I've never recovered from the sex-shaped void left in those closets by all the groping that should have occurred to me, but didn't. Right under my nose, kids my age were creeping into adulthood, one clammy, trembling palm on one breast at a time. There was also the horror of not being chosen in gym. It is conceivable that learning intricately how to butcher an entire hog and render every morsel might give one a feeling of mastery one lacked in childhood. It is the greatest immaturity to believe suffering entitles you to something. Someone wiser and quite possibly grayer than I once said. But in those basements and carpools and playgrounds, as I assassinated one by one clandestinely my torturers, abandoning their foul normal bodies to compost the astonishing tedium of the wending suburban lanes, I was transubstantiating to supernal fame and beauty and such eerie genius that entire books were written about my books. In fact, it takes a long time to realize your suffering is of very little consequence to anyone but you. And by that time, the future is already happening, and you're pickling okra and starfruit, and foraging for morels in urban forests, and suspending artisan mozzarella in little wet nets, and crafting small batch, nitrate-free data, and maybe even thinking about having children, which you swore in a million billion years you would never do. This poem's called Ode to the Tonga Room. How many people have been to the Tonga Room in San Francisco? Oh, good. Okay. Loosely based, very loosely based on Tonga. Someone's in a Hawaiian shirt again, out on the parquet, doing the white man dance to celebrate good times. Come on. One palm cemented to a sudsy bowl adorned with mini parasol that will end up between his teeth like Carmen's rose and raffishly planted in some woman's hair, and she'll feel fancy and adored. Who crowned the pina colada gateway drug to mortification? It does an expert job with that white froth, that yellow slice of tropical meat. But really, who could begrudge a little nighty's young hanky-panky on the dance floor? Conference badges, wedding trinkets safely stashed in some bureau drawer till morning draws its breath, trenchant and sour. Let he who hasn't longed to be assigned a different name tag for a few kind, sweaty hours cast the first gleaming maraschino pit, that Grinch. Those are the only 2 funny poems I've ever written in my life, but it's fun to read them. Okay, let's have a couple more, 3 more tiny short ones. This one's called Ardor. I'm not sure if I've read this one out loud before, in front of people. Ardor. When we woke up, the roses had all been trampled, blousy froth and armored stalks, and we stood there in the weighted morning air, wringing our hands. Nevertheless, there was something magnetic in the slightly wavering complexion of where they once stood, in the ground now ornamented with expensively calibrated color, crushed and shredded. Oh, to borrow for just an hour in this tediously agnostic circumambulation such divine conviction. To move through this world as a pillar of fire, an immaculate decimation. I don't know why I keep writing poems with lines like that, like a sweat-streaked stallion and a tediously agnostic circumambulation. How can you read that? I'm messing it up. Oh, I guess I just did. London, Dresden. In the classically laid-out fountain, koi slapped and gaped at the surface like misguided bathtub toys, like mute prisoners, like the abandoned, overgrown goldfish they were. And even more so when the sky broke upon them, unleashing flowers of ice. The bodies took cover as best they could, as bodies do, within their medium. And the ice kept on falling, as long as there was ice to fall. And the last poem, also tiny, that I'm going to read is from my book, Rough Honey. I haven't read this one in a long time. It's called Want Me, because I used to read it all the time. Want Me. Oh, this is in the Anthology. That's why I'm reading it. Lemons crystallized in sugar, glistening on a blue-glazed plate. The rarest volume bound in blood leather. A silk carpet woven so finely you can't push a needle through, that from one edge is a silver relief underwater, and from the other blue lumiere, first frost on the cornflowers. A duet for cello and wood smoke, violin and icicle. Tangle of black hair steeped in sandalwood, jasmine, bergamot, and vetiver, and jeweled with pomegranate seeds. Panther's broad tongue, soothing hunt-bruised paws, eyelids of ribbon snakes. Taut skin of a lavender creme brulee. Split vanilla pods swollen with bourbon. A lunamoth swings, enormous celadon trembling. Thank you.